Cool. So this is something that maybe you've heard of if you're trading. This also applies to just about anything in life. So we are, human emotion itself. Like that's the expression that we all have that makes us feel, right? So that's what makes us human. These are the emotional cycles that people go through in different cycles of the economy, as well as, once again, NFTs, right? So an NFT is a non-fungible token. That's something that I focus in the Solana space. So we use this website here called Magic Eden. This is like the #1 platform for all Solana-based NFTs. And there's also another platform called OpenSea. And this is an Ethereum-based. So both of those are cryptocurrencies. Solana is one crypto, Ethereum is another crypto. They're just built on different blockchains. So it's kind of like, US dollar and the euro. Just look at it kind of that way. So I don't really shop on OpenSeas too much. We do have our collection, as Roy was talking about, the Bored Ape Solana Club. We do have our collection here that you'll be able to take a look at. But same thing on Magic Eden. We are listed on both marketplaces. This is something that you guys can do your own research on. I don't want to show my project too hard, but I will be referencing it throughout this, just as this is kind of, where I spend a majority of my time at. Actually, let's go back to OpenSea real quick, because most people who have heard of NFTs have heard of this collection right here. So this is called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. So this is on the Ethereum-based blockchain. Some of these NFTs, I think one yesterday sold for $1.2 million. Let me say that again, $1.2 million for this little guy right here. The bottom price right now, so the cheapest one that you could buy is $121,000. And I'm pretty sure that they're getting bought, if you look at the activity level, a couple a day, right? So that means that there's $300,000, $400,000 of liquidity getting pumped into this NFT project. Like I said, this one right here went for $1.2 million yesterday. Now, some people will consider this space a little bit of money laundering because, there's big assets moving through these JPEGs, but then that's where, as being further in the NFT community and in that space, you start to recognize that there's more behind the curtains than that. So that's what I'm here to do, is explain a lot of the education and what some of the utility is behind NFTs in the marketplace, in the industry, and where they're looking to take things. So OpenSeas I can now close. Twitter is something that I didn't have for the longest time, but this is actually the central location hub for all NFT marketing. So one of the top projects right now in Solana is called the D-Gods. This is a community, I think that the cheapest one is $20,000. So I just went to the Bored Ape Yacht Club, told you, $120,000. This one is $20,000. So that's kind of the differentiation. And even when you look at it from a price stance and, you're looking at market overviews, Solana's, sitting at $31, Ethereum at, $1,600. So everything's to scale and ratio, right? Everything in life has that ratio. So now we come back to, D-Gods. This is just their central hub. They actually sold one this morning, 14 hours ago for $221,000. This was the NFT itself. The guy minted it out for $100. I will say that again. The guy minted this NFT for $100 and sold it today for $221,000. I don't care what trade you ever take in life, you're never going to get that type of return. So that is why I'm so interested in the NFT space. That's why I invest a lot of time and energy in this space, because all it takes is one or two potential mints, one or two potential trades, good investments that set you up for the rest of your life, point blank and period. They're coming out with a new project. They're coming out with their secondary collection called the Utes. This is kind of like another page that they're building out. So you'll hear like a lot of hype around this. So that's what I wanted to actually talk about, coming back to this chart right here, right? So this is the psychology, but this is basically an example of the emotions that we feel and we express as people. Whenever a project like an NFT project is getting launched or about to launch, a lot of people have doubt on whether the project is going to do good or not, right? They're like, oh, there's so many NFT projects out there, right? If you look at Magic Eden, there are, all of these whitelist opportunities. I'll explain whitelist. Whitelist is meaning before the project launches, you have access to get basically a better entry price. So let's say this project right here is minting out for 1 Solana to the public. If you have a whitelist, then maybe you get it at like 50% off, right? So it just means that you have a better margin and a better entry price. So just like trading, when you're looking for the best possible entry or opportunity, you're doing the same, with NFTs. So whitelisting is always, ideal, but most of these projects right now are crap. They're not worth it. You're in a bear market. Most people aren't spending money in this space unless it's with a project that's already been here and has some experience. As you see, some of the top projects, these are kind of the ones that have had the most eyes on them over the past bull run. So over the last 9 months of me being in this space, I have observed every single one of these projects launch. I have talked to the founder of all of these projects as well. I want to say that again, I've talked to every single founder from every single one of these projects. That is my research. That is how you understand who is behind some of these projects, what their vision is, and that's how you actually know what you're investing in, right? So go ahead.
So I don't mean to cut you off. I know you're mid flow here. I'm just kind of curious about a few things. So
yeah,
having gone and talked to these developers, what do you feel like makes a DeGods more successful than the next project? Is it a pre-existing community? Did they have a pre-existing project that popped off? What do you feel like makes them different? Because they're really kind of crushing the space, right?
Yeah, so let's dive into it, right? So from you guys have been looking at charts all day. You still get charts and you still get analytics on NFT projects. So this is considered parabolic movement, right? So it went from a 430 SOL floor to a 600 SOL floor. So that means within that 1, 2, 3, 4 hour time span, you could have made 200 SOL profit. For quick math, that's $60,000. Just in a 4-hour time span of being in the right place at the right time and reading parameters of the market and looking for breaks and retests. And now look, you have another retracement period, probably at the 60% or 68% level right here with another continuation breakout, right? So like you have these same price actions, motions in all NFT projects. It just depends on necessarily what you're looking at. So DeGods, we'll see if this ends up loading. It may or may not. It says weak.
So you weren't lying when you said the NFT space was overperforming everything else. Like while stocks and crypto and everything is down, this looks like it's just been pumping this entire time.
I've been making bread. I haven't been trading much because I've been focused. I'll be honest. So this is like the entire timeline of DeGods, right? So just like a Bitcoin cycle, just like an Ethereum cycle, you have your pumps, you have your flows. When you look at this entire cycle here, remember this picture here, right? Remember these cycles happen countless number of times within this project and within any project. Every project, whenever they launch, starts at disbelief and hope, hits some peak of euphoria. And then what your question was, Roy, about what differentiates the good ones from the bad ones is actually this experience right here. Whenever you have community members who are starting to become complacent, now maybe price starts to level out and they get anxiety. Now maybe they're starting to panic sell. Now maybe, they're sitting at anger going, well, holy crap, I was, all the way up here. I didn't sell. I'm just going to leave the project now, right? So like you are managing people in communities. So, you have outliers that aren't in your control. So what makes DeGods is because throughout this time, they built a better community. They were able to manage these emotions better than some of the other project founders or leaders could do. So that is truly what a community and an NFT project is based on, is the people that are inside of it. You know, what are you getting granted access to, right? So what does owning a DeGod get you, you know, versus buying anything else? A community is a community, sure, but who's in there? Well, DeGods is known for having some of the top developers in the space. And if you actually go to the DeGods website, you will notice that they actually, let's see here. They actually show other projects that have launched from developers that they've had within their ecosystem. So Blocksmith Labs founder was originally a DeGod. Zen Dragons was originally a DeGod. Trippin' Apes was originally a DeGod. So these types of facilitations are coming from this marketplace, and they're showing that if you were at some point a DeGod and you launched your own project, which is totals 54 right now, you have a total market cap of $28 million that you've brought in to the
Oh
Solana
my
ecosystem.
God.
Yeah, think about that.
How is that even tracked? How are they able to track all that information?
So all of that funnels through from these analytics here. So your total volume that the project's creating, you know, what the amount of holders is, how many people you've reached, that type of stuff. So, you know, like I said, that's the short answer to your question of what makes them different, is because of this time period, they were building and they were doing, you know, the right thing. So now think about this. Think about the cryptocurrency market, right? So not only are you managing as a DeGod, you know, let's say, let's see the time frames. Let me move this. So this was April. So I'm sure if you go look at the charts and you go find April, you know, for Ethereum, or well, let's go to Solana. You know, okay, April was the absolute epitome of when Solana ended up going to shit, right? So $140 per coin used to be what a Solana was worth. Within an entire month, it dropped all the way to 35. This was considered the great wash of Solana NFTs. You saw the 99% fail during this collapse right here, because all of these emotions that people were experiencing, I mean, let's say you put $140, it now turned to 30, you know, in a month. Now let's say it's 140,000 and it turned to 30,000, right? Like those types of emotions people are experiencing while, you know, they're having these types of reactions, and that's represented in this chart right here, right? It's on a smaller scale, sure. You know, they dipped from 330 SOL to 130 SOL, but the price of Solana itself actually decreased. So it wasn't just, you know, like it was a 1-to-1 ratio, like a US dollar. So that bottom of 130 SOL was only worth, you know, 35 SOL instead of if it was 130 SOL and it being worth here. So, you know, these prices see so much fluctuation, to where, you know, like I said, this is where they start building, you know, and you see maybe a couple of turnarounds and they find a bottom, right? So you get new highs, you get your retracement, right? Now you have new highs, right? So we're looking for this bottom out retracement, probably around the 320 area. You know, so this is where I'm looking to potentially buy a DeGod, right? I'm like, well, I'm not going to buy at all-time highs. Like, you know, there's all sorts of hype going on right now. They have a new project coming out. These are all like, what you would call signals or confirmations, right? So we have them in trading. We also have them in NFT investing. So, you know, like I said, if you can mark up a chart, you can also trade NFTs. You just have to kind of know the insights and the guts of it.